I'm not getting any interviews. I don't understand. And they assume that it's the resume. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have a good resume and you have a good LinkedIn profile and you're applying for the right job. But the problem with online applications is they don't always even get viewed. We don't know for sure if your resume is even getting viewed by a human. So this goes back to varying your strategy.
You just saw a short clip from our interview with Lorraine Rise, the CEO of Career Uprising, where she answers the question, what to do when your job search isn't working. Real quick, do me a favor, subscribe and like the video to help our channel grow, then ring the bell to be notified when we post videos in the future. As you watch this part of the interview, post in the comments your frustrations with the current job market. And to see the complete interview, click up here so you can hear more advice from Lorraine, who gives us practical advice to activate your job search with productive action steps you can take right now.
Let's move on to the next question here. So what should you do if you're not getting any responses to your job application despite having a strong resume and a cover letter? So you've worked with career coach, you have the right resume, you're getting good advice, and you got the right cover letter, and you're doing it everything you feel is correct, but it's not working. What's going on?
Yeah. So like I said, a lot of times the clients will come to me and say, I'm not getting any interviews. I don't understand. And they assume that it's the resume. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have a good resume and you have a good LinkedIn profile and you're applying for the right job. But the problem with online applications is they don't always even get viewed. We don't know for sure if your resume is even getting viewed by a human. So this goes back to varying your strategy, okay? So if one strategy is not working, we don't want to just keep doing that over and over and hoping that it will work. We need to pause and reassess and say, okay, how else can I get in touch with these companies? Maybe I can come up with a list of 10 or 15 companies that are in my industry that I'm interested in and send emails to them. Find somebody on LinkedIn that I can target and reach out to them through LinkedIn or through email. Or maybe I need to sit down with my network and have some more conversations and ask them for some recommendations of, are there companies that you think that I should apply to? Or is there somebody in your network that is hiring, something like that? There's other approaches we can take. Or maybe do I need to go to a career fair? Maybe do I need to get out of the house and go to a networking event? Or do I need to look at maybe registering with a staffing agency? There's a lot of different ways that you can apply for a job, but we've all gotten so comfortable kind of hiding behind our computers sometimes that we forget job boards are good and they're easily accessible. And some people do get job boards that way. And I think that if you're going to be on a job board, being on a niche one, like for supply chain management jobs, is a great idea, because at least then you can kind of cut through the noise and get right to jobs in your industry. So I think that's a great thing that you guys are doing. It's focusing it down a little bit so that people's time is better spent on a job board. So that's another strategy, is maybe come off of some of the large broad job boards and find a niche one in your industry. And that might help you be a little bit more efficient as well. So there's a number of things to do, but basically the answer to that question is, if something's not working, do something else. Try a different strategy.
So how much should I try my strategy or follow my strategy before I consider adjusting the strategy? In other words, how many job applications should I put in to realize it's not working?
That's interesting. Well, I could just kind of throw a number out there. I've certainly had clients tell me I've been looking for a job for months and I've applied to 100 jobs and I've gotten no interviews. That's way too far.
It's a little far.
Way too far at that point, right? I would even say a lot less than that. If you've been applying steadily for jobs for a month and maybe you've applied to 30 or 40 jobs and not gotten anything, that might be a problem. Typically what I see as far as applying online for jobs, the callback rate is usually a little less than 10%. I usually got about 10%. So for example, if I would apply to 20 jobs, I usually got about 2 interviews. You're not doing too bad. If that's where you're at for that strategy alone, you're not doing too bad. So if you're less than that, if you're getting like 0 callbacks,
right, yeah.
and you've applied to 20, 30, 40 jobs, let's do something else, certainly.
That's good. We give them a number, okay?
Yeah.
2% or 10% conversion rate. 20 interviews.
20% is a good target. Yeah.
20 applications should equal 2 interviews. So if you
Something
put
like
in 20 applications or you connected with 20 people and you're getting no feedback, you are doing something
yeah.
incorrect. And again, think of it as a business, right? Your time is valuable. As businesses, we're writing checks, right? We're writing checks to advertisers or social media or doing that kind of stuff. But as an individual, your time is valuable because you're working, you have family. That's your investment is time. So you have to think about, am I spending my time, my investment wisely? And what am I doing? Activity again doesn't equal productivity. And one of the things you mentioned in there I thought was really interesting. You said register with a staffing agency. And that brought to
Mhm.
mind, you talk, there's been in the media about the great resignation. What people
Yeah.
aren't seeing is the other underlying part of that is what companies are doing as a result of that. And what they're doing is they're hiring people as contractors. And then if they do really well, they'll give them a full-time job. So when
Mhm.
you think about a staffing agency, what is that about? What can people do?
Yeah. So working with a staffing agency doesn't necessarily mean contract work. It can, and I've been placed successfully twice in my earlier career with staffing agencies. Now, some agencies will do contract work, some will do contract to permanent, some will do permanent W-2 positions. So you need to just kind of talk to the recruiters and find out what kind of positions they have. But usually a staffing agency is free for you as the job seeker because they essentially work for the company and that's who they're representing. But it's not a bad strategy for you to have a conversation with them, upload your resume into their system. When I did it, I actually got to do an interview where they would find out what my skill set is, and it was more than just uploading my resume. I actually met with them, and it worked absolutely. So do a Google search for staffing agencies that are either in your area or even just in the industry that you are in. And you should be able to do it for free. There are headhunters out there, I think, where you can pay a whole lot of money. Most people don't need to go that route yet. You can just register with them, get in their database, have an initial conversation, and that way you are a little bit more visible. Because the nice thing about staffing agencies is they typically have jobs that are not posted other places. So that can help you get into the hidden job market. They don't want to post it other places because then you're going to find it and apply somewhere else, and then they can't represent you, and then they can't get paid. So it makes sense that they're going to have access to hidden jobs, as we call them.
With
So I
multiple
think this is
companies, right? With
what's
multiple
that?
companies.
Yeah, yeah. And because
Staffing agencies are, I mean, the title kind of tells you they're a staffing agency which works for multiple companies, staffing
yeah,
multiple companies. So
yeah.
that hidden job market is inside there. So I'm sorry to cut you off. I didn't want to lose that point. It's
Oh
like,
no, that's fine. Yeah, so they don't just work for one company; they have multiple. So that gives you even more exposure potentially, and you're not obligated to take anything that they bring to you. But the nice thing is, when they do bring you an opportunity, they help you. They coach you through the interview process because they want you to get the job,
that's how
right?
they get
And
paid, right?
they're incentivized, so they coach you through it. They prep you. They tell you all about it. They kind of advocate for you through the process. So it's it won't be successful for everybody, but if it's free, it makes sense to use that as another one of your strategies in addition to applying online. Definitely.
So this actually really segues well into our next.
Thank you for watching this part of the interview. In the comments, let us know what other questions you have about the job search in the current market. Down below in the description, you will find 2 free resources. A free video training course from Lorraine, the Career Change Roadmap, where she shares with you practical strategies on what you need to do when you're changing the career. You'll also find a link to get a free resume review from SCM.Jobs. This free resume review is conducted by professional resume writers who can let you know how your resume comes across when you're applying for a job. Both resources are free, so gain better insight to improve your results. And to get more great insight into the job search from Lorraine, click on the link to watch the complete interview. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and ring the bell to help our channel grow and be notified of future videos just like this.